Hello, hello, hello. My name is Lee Cara. This is a very special episode of Unleash Your Light. This is a really big, big thing, big download that I'm about to share. And I believe that it will give peace to those of us in the spiritual community and possibly outside of the spiritual community who are fretting, who are worrying, who are wondering, who are fearing, who are having issues right now with this split in our world and with this division. Okay. So I'm going to try to keep this brief. I already trashed one that's 5 minutes long and I didn't even finish, but I'm going to try to be more succinct. This download came in the midst of watching one of the leaders in the Q train, MAGA train, in the Trump supporting group that believes in all the extra stuff, the conspiracy type stuff. Okay. I watched an hour and a half long video. You're welcome. Now you don't have to. And I got a huge download. Okay. So in our spiritual community, we were all united. If we roll back 4 or 5 years, we were all learning. We were all growing. We were all getting the similar downloads about the nature of consciousness and our role on this planet and the energy of divine and light and being able to manipulate time and space with our minds and all the alternate dimensional things and all of this stuff was wrapped up within the spiritual community, and we all supported each other and we all respected the information that other people got, and we all were learning and getting similar downloads at the same time, all focused on the fact that the energy of the light, God, is unconditional love, and that it is up to us, each one of us, to use this energy to change the world for good. Everybody had kind of that same mission, okay? First, I want to assure you that we all have the same mission still, okay? That's number one. And I know some of you are going, no? Okay. Then we had a split in our community, right? Now, I want you to think about our community as a whole before we split. There's a certain portion of the population, the regular people, if you want to call them that laughed at us as a spiritual community, that made fun of us, people in our families that didn't accept us, people in our friend group, just the world in general, those spiritual woo-woo crazy people, who knows what they're doing over there, they can do that way over there and not bother me, right? Now, then we had the president, Donald Trump, come into office. And this divide started to happen as this movement, this Q movement, started to connect to things that pull at your heartstrings with babies and blood. And I don't think I need to go into it much deeper because you all know the stories. Okay. And we watched our spiritual brothers and sisters split off from us. We watched them go into this movement, support him 100%, believe that the president was the savior that was going to expose all of the evil things in this world. Okay. And we all went, how can you look at the movement? The movement is full of racists and closed-minded bigots and people who are hateful towards, love, and put kids in cages and all this kind of stuff, right? That was on our side, mindset. And on their side, they kept going, well, if you do that, then you must agree with pedophiles, or you must agree with, slavery, or what, I don't know why you can't see it. And we were at an impasse, and we're still at an impasse. And the movement has gotten bigger, right? And it has picked up a lot of people from portions of society that some would call undesirables or deplorables, to use a popular, unpopular term. It has picked up racists. It has picked up small-minded people. It has picked up people who have turned away from God. It has picked up people who don't see the worth of God in their life every day. People who call themselves Christians but don't actually understand the concept of God. It has picked up a lot of people that do not consider themselves spiritual. Okay? But there's a portion of that group that came from our community, from our spiritual classroom, where we were learning about all this stuff, right? Where we were doing all these things in the ether, where we were making these changes in the energy of the world through whatever it was that each of us was doing, okay? Now, so I told you I watched an hour and a half of this person speaking. And almost everything he talked about was no different than everything that we talked about. He talked about astral projection. He talked about being able to change things in the world by what you do on that plane. He talked about plant medicine. He talked about using medicinal plants to achieve an altered state of consciousness. He talked about all of that. He talked about embracing love and light and all these things. But then he sprinkled in some Obama's evil and Clinton's horrible and this and that, and he sprinkled in soldier stuff. I'm a super soldier for the light. He sprinkled in conspiracy worldview stuff. He sprinkled in all of these Pizzagate things. He sprinkled them into what he was talking about, and then used his spiritual stuff to talk about how he was defeating them on that level. Do you see where I'm going with this? Even though that movement, okay. So people watch him. It's not just the little group of spiritual people that moved into that movement. It is the regular everyday Trump supporter. It is the regular tinfoil hat conspiracy guy. It is the regular neo-Nazi, down with libtards person. It is people in this movement who would never ever listen to one of us with this kind of shit going on, who are listening to him and believing him and learning how to connect to the light within them, learning how to connect with the peace of God that is inside of them. And it has been wrapped in a shell of combat and anger and triumph and a hero's story. Because for some people, that is the only way that they will ever swallow their own worth. That is the only way they will accept the divine within them, is if you wrap it in a hero's story. They are on the exact same mission we are. And the universe split, God split our spiritual community in half so that half of them could teach this movement, these people that they never would have reached otherwise. God's message, the message of the light, would never have reached the people in this MAGA movement without people like this buffalo head Q shaman dude. But they are believing it. They are listening to it. They are buying into what he is saying, almost all of it. And of course, there are levels within the movement, and not everyone goes as deep. But he is reaching a group of people that you or I could never have reached on our own. It is like the most ingenious plot that if you need to teach a group of resistant people to do something, you need to present it to them in a way that they recognize. If you want someone to eat snails, you got to put ketchup on them for some people. And I'm not saying that to be rude. He has wrapped not just him, but a lot of the spiritual people who have infiltrated this movement without realizing that they are double agents for the light. They still think that we over here are the enemy because it's the only way to keep some people who may be a little more narcissistic or egoic or close-minded. It is the only way for them to completely embody and embrace the message of God, to wrap it in a hero's story, in the story that you are special and you are the only one who can do this. They are on the same side we are. However, there's going to be chaos and craziness in the human clash. But on a spiritual level, they are being indoctrinated into the light, into the belief that we are all carrying that divine light within us. And it may look weird to us. We may not be able to understand, well, how is it that they're embracing peace by embracing violence? Because they believe that violence is the way to peace. You have an entire population of the world that thinks that war is the only way to get peace, that force is necessary. And they will never side with the people who say violence is never the answer. They think that that is craziness. So our message of peace and love and lollipops and everybody's wonderful would never have gotten through to them. But wrap it in a hero story and they will believe. And that is what is happening. So those of us left on the other side, if we can use this, number one, to shift our own fears and know that God is working, the light is working through them, even if we don't understand or like or relate to what is happening, I can acknowledge the divine within them that is learning through this experience. And again, it might look messy on earth for a while, but I truly believe that by splitting the population and giving both groups the same teacher, the same teachings, you will indoctrinate twice as many people. You will bring twice as many people into the message of the light and into recognition of their own divinity. It is like, it's like the most complicated Born Identity type of a movie, but fascinating and exciting. And I mean, tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts below. Let's have a discussion about this. I don't want to talk about whether what they're talking about with all the things is correct or all the conspiracy theories is correct or conspiracy facts or whatever. I don't want to talk about the election portion of it. But this is important. And for those of us who are living in this worry of not understanding what's going on, maybe this can give us some peace as we watch them go through their awakening, their journey. They're calling what they're doing, they are calling the Great Awakening. And we're thinking, that's not what my awakening looked like. That's not. Exactly. Everybody's awakening is for them. And they need to awaken in this way because it must be wrapped in a hero's journey for them to get it at a core level. All right, tell me what you think, y'all. You are beloved, you matter, and you are so very loved.